Hello everybody, hope you are all doing well. Today I got a video that is going to be focused on how to get to 10 CS per minute or how to increase your farm specifically as a jungler. This video is intended for anybody. We've got a quick little exercise because I put myself through the own grill. Pull up your OPGG and look at your last 10 games and go down them. So for me, I looked at this game and look at the farm only. So 9.4 CS, 8.7, 8.1, 9.4, 9.1, 8.9, 7.8, 8, 8.1, 7.6, and then 6.2, which is pretty low there. But go down your most recent 10 games, and if you're in your most recent 10 games, if in at least 7 of those you don't have at least 8 CS per minute, this guide is intended for you. This guide is also meant for anybody below Grandmasters, because Grandmasters are above, give or take, as my rank. And then anybody missing 2 items by 20 minutes or 3 items by 28 minutes, those are kind of the benchmarks for jungle players. You really do want to hit your 2-item spike close to 20 minutes every single game if you can, and then 3 items by 25 to 28 minutes usually at the latest. And if you're missing those benchmarks, this guide will really help you in your win rate. All right, so I hope to hopefully break some people's minds, because somebody showed me this once. I got coached once, and I didn't think it was possible, but after now that I've kind of played the game for a long time and I've understood kind of how to crack open the game and give yourself the highest chance of winning, it really does come down to farm. What is good clear speed? Essentially, anything below 8 CS per minute, you should consider bad. At 7 CS per minute, unless like you have literally 3 losing lanes and you have to gank all the time to keep the game from losing, and you're the carry and you're like, that's the only time you should really be at 7 CS per minute. You really want to be at 8 CS per minute or above in every single game, especially this season. If you're at 9 CS per minute, I consider you to essentially be just doing your job and doing your job well. You're essentially on tempo, you're showing up to fights, you're cross-mapping, you're setting up for objectives. If you're going for the bot side dragon, you're making sure your top side camps are cleared, stuff like that. And then if you hit 10 CS per minute, usually you're finding moments to invade the enemy jungle. You're also picking up lane minions when your laners die or rotate to the wrong place. You're usually playing pretty well if you hit 10 CS per minute. But I hope that this last screen inspires some people to understand that every single game, 8 CS per minute is possible. Even with 3 losing lanes, you can get to 8 CS per minute. 9 CS per minute is possible in most of your games, especially your winning games, and 10 CS per minute is really possible in your winning games, and even or behind games. It's kind of tricky to crack that 10 CS. So let's break down real quick the 2 things. If we zoom out top down, what boosts your clear speed? So let's say you're a jungler. Let's say your pathing's pretty good. Willie, I'm good about showing up to my camps on time. How do I get my clear speed quicker outside of obviously just playing my champion to the most efficient possible way, right? Number 1, you build damage, okay? So your camps have about 42 magic resistant armor, if you don't know. So lethality and flat magic pin, so things like Sork pin boots and all that, will actually improve your clear speed. Serrated Dirk, which I've got down here in the bottom right, will actually improve your clear speed, which is quite nice. Your camps also have pretty high health, if you don't know. Your blue buff and red buff have thousands of health, same with your Krug. So anything that gives you percent HP damage, like Leandri's Burn, Blade of the Ruined King, anything that gives those percent max HP abilities, specifically with Udyr, we've got that built into our kit. But anything with percent max HP is really, really good for clearing your jungle. Thirdly, anything that gives you AoE or ridiculously high single target, one or the other, will improve your clear speed by a lot. So I think, again, of Serrated Dirk, this is great for single target camps because it improves your lethality and your auto attacks. But against AoE camps, Serrated Dirks doesn't really help you out. That's where something like Tiamat or Faded Ashes will really improve your clear speed, or are incredibly helpful for improving your clear speed. The final thing I always mention is Ability Haste. Ability Haste will improve your clear speed because if you've got lower cooldowns, you'll be able to cycle your abilities quicker, which leads to, you guessed it, number 1, more damage on your camps. The second thing that primarily improves your clear speed is movement speed. So anything that improves, Your movement speed, this is essentially the time it takes you to get from after killing a camp to the next camp. Because while you're killing the camp, that is usually determined by your damage. Moving from camp to camp, that's determined by your movement speed. This includes how you path, so we'll talk here in the first 10 minutes and then post 10 minutes how to path and how to really set yourself up for success in getting to 10 CS per minute. Any bonus movement speed improves your clear speed, so notice how I've set up kind of like a Venn diagram. So anything down here in the bottom right will improve your clear speed simply because it improves your movement speed. So Phage, if you don't know, Phage gives you a passive, same with Triforce. When you hit something, after you hit it, you get 20 movement speed for the next 2 seconds. That will actually improve your clear speed because you'll move between your camps quicker. Same with Deadman's and Force of Nature, which will give you flat movement speed, but the issue is you get resistances and health, which is not, number one, damage. So you really only the movement speed from tank items helps you with your clear speed. Additionally, Blue Smite is a very easy and cheap way outside of, taking runes like Celerity and stuff like that, but Blue Smite is a very easy way to improve your clear speed because every time you kill a large camp or walk through a bush, after you get the Blue Smite upgrade, you will get a bonus burst of movement speed, which will help you run through your camps even quicker. So, these items on the bottom right help your movement speed, and these items on the bottom left help your damage. In the middle here, kind of in this yellow column here, this is kind of like, imagine this is a Venn diagram. These are the holy grail for items that improve your clear speed, because not only do they give you damage, but they also give you movement speed at the same time, so it's a double whammy, right? So you look at items like Mejai's. Mejai's not only gives you movement speed at 10 stacks, but it gives you damage ramping up to 25 stacks. Retrix, which builds into Ghostblade, gives you movement speed and damage. Aether Wisp, which upgrades, I think, into Cosmic Drive and Storm Surge and a couple other things, gives you not only damage, but movement speed. Sorcery Pin Boots are actually the King Kong for clear speed because they give you damage. Like I mentioned, Flat Magic Pin will reduce the magic resist to your jungle camps, and Sorc Pin Boots do that, but they also give you movement speed. So Sorc Pin Boots are great for improving your clear speed. Storm Surge and Ghostblade are considered the holy grail for movement speed and clear speed because not only do they give you a lot of damage, not only do they give you % movement speed, but they also give you either lethality or flat magic pin, depending which one you go for. So this is why Graves players tend to build Ghostblade first, and Storm Surge is a great option second on Udyr if you're winning a lot and looking to just ramp up your clear speed. Now, bear with me, this screen here, this is essentially a guide to your first 10 minutes, how to essentially hit the highest possible farm possible. And this season, since feats of strength are really important, first tower is really important, I'm going to recommend either a wolf start on red side of the map or a raptor start on blue side of the map, and we'll go through these numbers here. So essentially just look at this map here and start at 1. Again, just pretend you're one side of the map or the other. 1 is going to be your first camp, 2 will be your second camp, 3 will be your third camp, 4 will be your fourth camp, 5, 6. Crab situation will always be dependent on prio, so depending on where, the enemy mid is, your mid is, the enemy top is, your top, and it'll also depend on where the enemy jungle start, but try and get one crab or both of them if you can, and then you move on down to your respawning raptors or wolves, which are 8. These things will come up, of course, after the crab. So after crab, I assumed you got a 7 on a crab, and then you move into 8, which will be respawning at 4 minutes, 9, which will be respawning at about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And then if you do this clear path successfully, you're going to be level 5 at 4 minutes and 40 seconds. This is the Raptor Super Start or the Wolf Super Start. Usually at this point, unless the bot lane is gankable, you immediately reset. Go back to base. On Udyr specifically, you're going to buy Faded Ashes plus Dark Seal because you're going to have about 1,250 gold. Then you're going to run up to your 4s and 5s, which will be respawning. Kill these camps on spawn, and then walk out into Topside River, and you'll be there at about 5 minutes and 50 seconds for 6-minute Rift Grubs. Do the Rift Grubs at 6 minutes, and then usually after you do Rift Grubs, you walk back over to your 1s and 2s and just full clear again, because at this point your third clear cycle is coming up, which includes your red buff and your blue buff, so you've got 600 gold respawning in your jungle. So I recommend after doing Rift Grubs just walking over and just eating a full clear up until about 8 minutes. and then congratulations, you've now got the optimal first 8 minutes, and this sets you up for success for the rest of the game because you have done all of your camps perfectly on time. You've hopefully gotten a crab or 2 or 3, depending on where crab respawned at, top or bot. You've gotten rift grubs, which are more important than dragons in the first 10 minutes this season because they lead to feats of strength and first tower, and you've also got a very, very healthy clear cycle to where the enemy jungle can't really punish you. Now, kind of other bullet points I've kind of listed along the left and right here. Let's go through them real quick. You do want to try and get tier 1 boots ASAP. So after that first back, when you get Dark Seal plus Faded Ashes, your second back, you really want to try and get brown boots if you can. You also want to prioritize your clear speed items number 1 and number 2. That's why for most games on Udyr, if I'm playing AP Udyr, I build Liandry's first into a damage item second, like Riftmaker is great second. You can build Shadow Flame second, Malignant second, Storm Surge second. Any damage item second will improve your clear speed and ramp you up. If you build a tank item second, it will slow down your clear speed and not help you farm as fast. The third thing that I do always want to mention, while this clear path, it involves a lot of farming, and you're going to say, Willie, how does this make sense because we're in solo queue and my laners are going to be complaining about ganking? We'll talk about downtime here in a second and how essentially you're buying yourself gank time on the back end of the game. But this is the smartest way to play, in my opinion, in the early game because you've got access to all 3 lanes, right? Because you start bot side, and then you move top side, and then you move back to bot side, which gives you access to a mid lane gank twice there, right? Because you can gank at level 3, crossing to top. You can gank a side lane. You can gank at level 4, crossing back to your respawning camp's bot side, right? And you've also got access to the bot lane gank at level 5 after you clear your 8 and 9s, right? So you've got access to all 3 lanes. React and read the enemy jungler instead of thinking about jungle as like I've got to get ahead. I've got to be the first one to get on the map. I've got to be the first jungler to impact. No. Set your camps up correctly. React to the enemy jungler. If you're on the same side of the map as them and they beat you to a gank and they kill them, you're probably not going to be able to sprint back to their top side and take their top side camps. But if you're top side and they go for a bot side gank, yes, go try and take his top side camps, right? React and read, but at least you've got a default blueprint that you know is a recipe for success in this early season, and you shouldn't break off of it unless there's a really strong reason to, and the enemy jungler makes a pretty big mistake. Some minor things that I always want people to know. If you get one of these crabs, so let's say your blue side, you do the Raptor start, you come up and you manage to get one of these crabs, you will guarantee to hit level 5 after you finish your Krugs down here, so congratulations. It's a very easy clear path to hit level 5 at 4 minutes and 35 seconds or so you get a very fast level 5. If you manage to get both crabs, so let's say you do a Raptor start, you come up, you see the enemy jungler top side, and you manage to get this crab, race him to bot side, get the other crab, and then go into your Raptors and your Krugs. If you reset and spend gold, and then do the default 4 and 5s that are respawning, and then do the 6-minute rift grubs, congratulations. You will hit level 6 on the very first rift grub, so all you got to do is do the first one, smite it. You'll hit level 6 and usually be a higher level than the enemy jungler. Additionally, one thing that you can think about with these starts that we're doing, the Raptors and the Wolf start, Raptors start on blue side, Wolf start on red side, is you've got recall timings layered in. Every other clear has a blue buff and a red buff in it, right? So your first clear, you're going to have a red buff and a blue buff, but your second clear, you won't. This means on your second clear, and after you do your Wolves and your Gromp, instead of going to camp number 3 and spending 30 seconds on a blue buff, you get to go back to base and recall. Spend that 30 seconds, spending gold, and then walk to your Raptors, which will be respawning, and you will arrive perfectly on time. There's no wasted time because you spent that time on your last clear doing blue buff, right? So then you do your Raptors on over to your Krugs, and then that's why that recall timing is layered in. Then you do your 6-minute rift grubs, and then keep in mind I mentioned that your third clear will come up after rift grubs, right? This will include your blue and your blue and your red rather. So you've got 600 gold in your jungle, meaning you should probably just full clear after doing the rift grubs, right? So after doing your rift grubs, then you can kind of spend time for a little bit walking around in river, because on your next cycle, when your Wolves and Gromp respawn, or your Raptors and Krugs, when you clear them, you're going to have 30 seconds where your Blue or red is not alive, and you can go back to base and spend that time spending gold. I hope that makes sense. Essentially, every other clear cycle, you've got a 30-second window to spend gold. So you don't necessarily need to force recalls on these clear paths because it's already layered in every 5 minutes, a nice healthy recall to keep you on tempo and constantly farming. All 3 lanes are accessible like we talked about, and the goal is to farm instead of fast ganks and invades. Blue buff and red buff starts are faster. They will get you to lanes quicker, but ultimately you're going to be 15 seconds behind on the next respawn cycle, and that will be time that you're building up momentum and collecting tempo. And if the enemy jungler goes for like a blue or a red buff start, waste time on a gank, and waste 10 seconds getting back to their camps, you're automatically 30 to 40 seconds ahead of them at minute 5 by doing nothing except setting your camps up better. Now, before I jump to this after 10 minutes, I do want to take a break from the wall of text. Let's look at an easier visual here. This is how essentially jungling works, okay? And your laners are going to really despise you in this early stage of the game. So imagine an angry baby face up here and then a happy face down here. Your first clear, your clear time is going to take like a full 2 minutes, and your camps respawn at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, right? So your first clear, you're going to spend essentially clearing. You're going to have about 20 seconds of downtime to do a crab, and then your camps are going to start respawning, right? So you've got little to no downtime. Then as you go back to base, spend gold and get a Faded Ashes, get a pickaxe, get a Tiamat, get whatever your first component is, you shed off 10 to 15 seconds. So then after your second clear, you've got 20 to 30 seconds to play with, right? And then on your third clear, you've got 40 seconds to play with, your fifth, sixth. And then by the time you usually get to your sixth clear, it's not like a linear. What I wanted to show you is this is not a linear scale. By the time you finish your first item, by the time you start building item number 2, like we talked about, you know, in this chart here, if you build any of these holy grail items, Ghostblade, Storm Surge, Sork Boots, you know, Dead Man's Tiamat, any of these farm clear speed items, you're actually going to whip through your jungle, and by the time you finish your second item, you're actually going to be able to clear in about 30 seconds or less. And you're going to have a full 2 minutes to just walk around and do whatever you want. This means that you can gank easier, you can invade easier, you can go for objectives easier. So with that in mind, after you play out this first 10-minute blueprint that I essentially am prescribing you here, and you get done with that third clear, which is right after that 6-minute Rift Grubs, your third clear respawns. We're going to do a full clear for our third clear. Then you're going to be at about 8 to 10 minutes. At this point, this is when I start breaking off the Raptor Wolf start. At this point, I'll actually spend time ganking. I'll spend time in the river going for Dragon or the Rift Grubs, whichever is available to me, and letting my camps kind of sit in my jungle for 30 seconds while they all respawn. Then I'll start clearing in a straight line fashion to the lane I want to gank. So if bot lane is winning, I'll start topside and just start at, you know, the topmost camp and clear in a straight line bot. Same with top lane. If top lane's winning and I want to play through top, I'll start bot lane and clear in a straight line top. I break the Raptor Wolf start and I start doing these linear clears where you clear in a straight line path. Instead of doing, you know, like Raptors to Krogs to Wolves to Grump and vice versa, I'm now just clearing in a straight line path with no wasted time in my movement. I also think after 10 minutes, in the first 10 minutes, you know, and around 10 minutes and 30 seconds, the second round of Rift Grubs will spawn. Once Rift Grubs are off the map, try and prioritize dragons at all time. And meaning, if there is a dragon on the map, you should be clearing in a straight line to the dragon every single time until the dragon is taken. Once the dragon is taken, then you can start picking which lane to clear towards and win conditions and all that good stuff. Another small thing that I have learned this season, this is a hot tip, please abuse it. 16-minute Rift Herald takes no time to do. 17 and 18-minute Rift Herald takes like twice as long to do. If you do Rift Herald on spawn, you can kill it in like 20-30 seconds, and it really is not a huge tempo loss because it gives you 200 gold, which is about the value of 2 jungle camps. 16-minute Rift Herald is a great tempo advantage. Try to look for that in this season as you set up your camps and start thinking about what you want to do. Another thing that I've learned is roaming supports are extremely popular, so I really think just power farming is your friend this season, because you have to keep track of not only the enemy jungler, but the enemy jungler's camps, the enemy support, and the enemy mid laner, and make sure all three of those people are not potentially in a position to kill you, especially as an Udyr who wants to scale, right? Especially if you're building damage items, which I would recommend, you're going to feel pretty squishy item 1 and 2. At item 3 and 4, your base resistances and base health will be high enough, but item 1 and 2, you'll feel pretty squishy. So be very, very careful with the enemy mid and support, and you've got to be very smart about when to invade. Another thing that a jungler once told me, so I'm going to tell you guys, every single death in the first 10 to 15 minutes means you're burning 500 to 1,000 gold worth of tempo and potential opportunities as a jungler. Do not die in the first 10 minutes if you can help it. I said it in my last video, but I'll say it here. Every death is very important this season. Stay alive and just keep hitting them jungle camps. Final thing I'll say here is solo experience is still skewed, meaning solo laners, mid and top, are going to be a higher level than you until about level 13 or so. So even if you're power farming, even if you're at 8, 9, 10 CS per minute, you may still be a level behind the enemy top or mid laner if they're getting solo kill on your laners. It's not going to be about until level 13 or 14 that the flip will switch, and you'll actually be the same level, if not ahead, if you start playing well and keeping your tempo and keeping your camps and catching minion waves and getting objectives and playing extremely smart and safe. So in the back of your brain, if it's like level 8, 9, 10 and you see a level 12 Darius and you're freaking out, remember level 13 and 14 is when the jungler will start catching up to the solos. Another thing I'll say too on that note is if you do manage to kill a solo laner who is a higher level than you and you cheese them or catch them when they're low on health or they overextend or something, right? You will manage to get a ton of experience. And keep in mind, again, as you continue to build the holy grail of clear speed, damage, and movement speed, your downtime will only increase as the game goes on. So your opportunities to gank and help the team will only increase. That's why early and mid game, if your laners are like spam pinging you because you're farming too much in the first 10 minutes, you should think in the back of your brain, I am buying myself time to help and gank on the back end, and I'm also looking for opportunities to punish the enemy jungler who may or may not be ganking too much. Because if they're ganking too much, they're probably leaving camps up, and since I'm on tempo, I can go take his camps and farm my jungle and create a win condition through that alone. Right? So I hope you guys found this video helpful. It's really important farm this season. And like I said, someone created like a spreadsheet of all the Udyr 1 tricks. Of all the Udyr 1 tricks, farming seems to be the thing that I do better than most other high-ranked Udyrs. So that seems to be I am the king of farm as Udyr, and I wanted to share some tip and tricks that I abuse and kind of my mindset when I think about farming. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I do coaching. Make sure to reach out on Discord. Just join the Discord and DM me if you're interested in coaching or anything like that, and head to the stream. We stream almost daily, so you can catch me on Twitch for sure. So thank you guys for watching. Catch you in the next one, and thank you again for watching. Bye.
Dang. Call me so I can make it juicy for ya.